On your Friday episode of Locked On Raptors, we boldly go where no NBA podcast has ever gone before, especially not this one. We're making preseason bold predictions. What a new concept.
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of Locked On Raptors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It is Friday, October the 17th, and I am your host, Sean Woodley. I've been covering the Toronto Raptors for 12 seasons on various platforms. You can find all my work over on Blue Sky. You can find the show on Instagram. You can join us in the Locked On Raptors Discord server. Link in the description of the podcast. Come hang out. Great place. Talk ball. Get mailbag questions in when that time arises on the podcast. It's a lovely thing to be part of our community. Please come do it. Great time to do it with the season beginning in just 5 days, baby. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. And we will get started here with our dear pal, Joey Cash. Joseph Casciaro from The Score here for what's become one of my favorite annual traditions on the podcast. Totally cribbed from your old podcast, Pound the Rock. Just more focused in a Raptors lens. We're doing bold predictions, baby. Audacious predictions, if you will. Daring, undaunted, courageous predictions. Whatever adjective you want to give it. They're going to be predictions that are a little spicy. They're going out on a limb a little bit with some of these. Some of them may look very wrong once we get to the end of the season. Sometimes we look like geniuses. I think we usually bat like 333 on these, Joe. It's kind of the sort of
that's a batting title. That is
a batting title. That is, you're winning the ALCS MVP if you're hitting that. You're Andres Jimenez if you're if you're pulling off a 333. Sorry. We're going to try not to talk about the Blue Jays today. Cash, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. The Blue Jays help. I'm excited. I'm excited to do this. I was happy to get the invite from you. I look forward to doing this every year. I very much enjoy bold predictions because all you have to do is you put the bold disclaimer on it, and then no one can hold it against you.
You went to be wrong.
1 for 9 the last 3 years in your bold predictions. Yeah, but they're bold predictions. If it was a safe prediction, it would just be a regular prediction. Those are two different things. So always love doing that. Always love this exercise. It's foolproof, literally.
100%. Again, it's a license to be wrong. It's a get out of jail free card for bad takes. It's it was being bold. You know, if this came true, I was not doing my job on the Bold Predictions podcast. Actually, it's actually best if I do go over this year. All right, Cash. We each have 3 Raptors bold predictions we're going to rattle through on today's show. They have team-wide implications. There's coaches involved. There's players involved. It's wide-ranging. I will begin my first bold prediction, Joey Cash. And this is topical. This is probably going to get some people who are, got the pitchforks and the torches lit, and they're very upset. The mob is coming for Scottie Barnes. Let me tell you what. Scottie Barnes will have his career best true shooting percentage this season. Yes, he shot 20% in the preseason. Not great. 6 of 30. The three-point shot remains lost in the wind. The touch on the interior seems to be a little bit touch and go at the moment. I just think, Cash, he's going to be put in a position to just have his most streamlined, trim the fat offensive role he's had maybe ever in his career. He will figure out where his spots are in this offense. He will get a lot of very easy looks served up to him on a platter, whether it's in transition, whether it's working off of the gravity that Brandon Ingram draws, or that the sort of just the way the Raptors offense works, the advantages they tend to layer over the course of an entire shot clock. I feel good about Scottie Barnes getting back to and surpassing his career best 56.6 true shooting percentage from a couple seasons back. This is not exactly a high bar to clear. He has never been, quote unquote, above average as a true shooter in his entire career. His best true shooting plus, which is a relation like a league average stat, 100 being the league average. His best true shooting plus ever was 98. Back in his rookie year and then his third year. I believe in odd years Scottie Barnes, I guess, and I believe in the power of him not driving into 1,000 bodies, having to create shots for himself every single time down the floor. I believe in him trimming back the three-point volume and just kind of doing stuff he's good at. What say you to this one, Joey Cash? Scottie Barnes, career best true shooting percentage.
I like it. I mean, you mentioned it. It's not exactly a high bar to clear. You're essentially asking him to be league average from a true shooting percentage, and that would check this box and get your bold prediction proven correct. And I like it because while it's not a high bar, it does seem bold at the moment when a lot of people are up in arms about how, if we want to be honest, awful Scottie has looked on the offensive end in the preseason. I tweeted and posted on Blue Sky about it the other night where I said, listen, I'm not going to bury him for a bad preseason. I still believe he's going to have a very good year in what I think is an optimized role for him now with, that off-ball role where he still has on-ball reps, don't get me wrong. But I think even me watching in the last few years and me being one of the biggest believers in Scottie's overall upside came to the realization that, look, he is not a point forward. He's a playmaking forward. And they're two different things. Like he can have the ball in his hands and he can initiate for stretches, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he's not a full-time offensive initiator. He is a playmaking forward who, when he gets the ball in certain spots, in certain areas of the floor, can make plays from there, can read the defense, can whatever. But you don't want Scottie bringing the ball up full time. Like, that's just not his role in the NBA. I think he's a playmaking forward. I think he's best, as Darko has said he's going to be used this year, as a screener and roller in the dunker spot, crashing the offensive glass, off cuts and doing smart things like that. And there's going to be opportunities to score like that, just more efficiently, and also get, finishing in transition. So I'm with you. I think the efficiency will go up, although it's, tough to predict that right now. And as you said, he shot 20% in the preseason.
26.8% true shooting in the preseason.
I think I will say the one thing that I don't want to read too much into preseason, but the one thing that did concern me watching him in preseason was not just that the jumper wasn't falling, because that's whatever with Scottie. It was more so that, like, the few times he actually decided he wanted to get into the paint, it looked like he had trouble getting there. It's not just the finishing. It was like, that concerned me a little bit, because I was like, okay, what's going on here? Like, has your post-game regressed? Has your ability to get inside regressed? Because that would be concerning. But let's not get negative here. I like the prediction. Low bar, but I think he's going to clear it.
Yeah, I think, the offense, the way it runs, like, they serve up a lot of rim looks. I think the guy occupying the space he's going to occupy in this offense is going to get a lot of rim looks that he doesn't have to create for himself. And he's always been a pretty good rim finisher as well. Last year was his worst season shooting at the rim, and it was 65%, still dead middle of the league percentile-wise. He was 50th percentile, and that was his low bar. There's going to be more rim looks, and I think he's going to figure it out. I don't think he's just, like, forgotten how to play basketball on the offensive end of the floor. And to your point about his passing, I think Scottie Barnes, the connector, as opposed to Scottie Barnes, the initiator, way different ball game. And that's the type of guy who can command the type of attention that is, going to make things easier for everybody else. And in turn, probably make his scoring load a little easier too, once you start to play off of all the options that come out of Scottie Barnes, middle of the floor, ball in his hands. I like the free throw line jumper from him. I think that's a bankable shot. I just think there's too much there in terms of just, like, athleticism, strength, power, all that stuff. It hasn't shown all the time, but I don't think he's forgotten how to do it. He's still just 24 years old. There's still plenty of time for this thing to get righted. All right, let's go to your first bold prediction, Cash. What you got for me?
Brandon Ingram averages 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists with 3+ 3-pointers made per game.
Damn.
Now, I will say that, even as I say it, that sounds bold and slightly unbelievable until you realize that over the last 6 years, healthy or not, Brandon Ingram averaged 23.5 points. 23 points, 5.5 rebounds, 5.2 assists, while shooting 51% inside the arc, 37% from deep, and 85% from the free throw line. And he did that while only averaging 1.8 made threes per game. If he redistributes some of his shot diet to the outside, which I think he will. And now, I'm not saying it's going to be a drastic overhaul. Like, anyone who thinks Brandon Ingram is suddenly going to become the most, like, analytics friendly offensive player, they should, pump the brakes a little bit. That's not happening. Mm-hmm. But do I think it will be redistributed a little bit? Do I think Darko's message and offensive system will seep in a little bit? Yes. And do I think he can go from 1.8 threes a game to 3 and start redistributing things there? Do I think there's a pretty good infrastructure around him in terms of there is some offensive talent on the team, but also not enough shot creation that it's going to force him to take, enough shots to post the numbers I'm saying he's going to post. And then, from a playmaking perspective, I said at the time they traded for him that while I didn't agree with every part of his game and how it fit in Toronto, the one thing I didn't think people were giving him enough credit for was how underrated of a playmaker he had become in his last couple of years in New Orleans. So 25, 5, and 5, and I think the path to him getting there is, again, just altering that shot profile a little bit, taking and making more threes. I think if he ups his made threes per game by 1.2 and just takes more shots in general everywhere, from 23 to 25, I don't think that's crazy.
I love this. I totally am with you on the rebounds and assist thing, and I'm with you on the ratcheted up 3-point volume too. I think we've seen in the preseason, and again, the preseason is only the preseason. You can only take so much, but he seems very happy to take wide open catch and shoots. And also, you're already seeing, you saw in that Celtics game a couple times, he's a guy who warrants aggressive closeouts, and that leads to a whole lot of, Brandon Ingram's just walking a dude who's running out to the free throw line, and he's getting to the rim and scoring. That is just there's going to be on and off ball scoring potential for Ingram within this team. And so, I'm with you on this being a really refined version of him. I think my one sort of reservation with the 25 a game thing is I just think this team's probably going to have too many mouths to feed, and it's just going to be spread a little bit too evenly across the board to have him finish at 25 a game. But I think the process of it could be conducive to that. I like this one quite a bit. And off and running here with Scottie and Ingram predictions to start things off. We're going to get into some team-specific ones coming up in just 1 second as we continue our roll through our audacious preseason Toronto Raptors predictions with Joey Cash. Today's show is brought to you by Wayfair, and the holidays, they're coming around. Before you know it, you're going to be hosting people at your home, and what's better than, getting new stuff for your house when you've got people coming over. It's a great time to refresh, great time to get some new decor, some new furniture, and obviously you want to deck your house up with all that, deck yourself out with all that holiday decor as well. Maybe you need some new serveware. Maybe you need some new guest bedding, whatever it is. Wayfair has everything you need to get your home holiday ready, from Christmas trees and wreaths to bedding, cookware, and outdoor inflatables. It's your one-stop shop for every room in the house and the yard as well. Wayfair makes it easy to personalize your home for the holidays with a huge selection of every style and every budget. And they also have free and easy delivery, even for the big stuff, so you don't have to go to the store during the holiday season to buy some large furniture and crammed into your car like it's an ill-fitting Tetris piece. No, Wayfair just brings it to your house for you. That is pretty darn sweet. Again, if you're doing a refresh for the holidays, maybe you want to get some new stuff that's like a gift for somebody. You want to get someone. I'm probably buying a bed for my parents because their guest bed is too small. So we're going to buy them a bed. It's kind of a gift for them and kind of a gift for us. We're going to do that with Wayfair because it's the cheapest way to do it. And they'll deliver it to my parents' house in the boonies for free. Get organized, refreshed, and ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Back at it here with Joseph Casciaro from The Score, doing our preseason bold predictions. The third year I think we've done this as a burgeoning. Is it now an annual tradition?
Oh, yeah.
We've done it 3 times.
Yeah.
I don't know if twice counts.
No,
twice
three
is an anomaly,
definitely
3
counts.
times is
It's
a
an
trend.
annual
Okay.
tradition.
Beautiful. Love it. We'll be doing this forever. See you when we're 70, buddy. I got nothing else going on. All right. Bold prediction number 2. This one's a team-centric one for me. And I don't know how bold this is, but I'm going to say it anyway because it would require a pretty significant jump on one end of the floor for the Raptors this season. I think the Toronto Raptors will finish in the top half of the league on both offense and defense this season. I don't think they're going to do it by much. I think it's going to be pretty close. I think it's going to be 14th in offense, 12th in defense, something like that, which could be a recipe for kind of a lot of wins in the Eastern Conference. I just think there's going to be a baseline competence to the defense, the aggression, the try-hard ethos. that plays in the regular season. Scottie Barnes, we saw last year when he was on the floor, they were a good defensive team. When him and Jakob Poeltl were on the floor together, they were an awesome defensive team. I think Colin Murray-Boyles is going to chip in. I think we see the guards are just like nasty, up in your business, really, really good defensive players who cause havoc, create turnovers. And that's going to feed into what I think will be a much improved offense as well here, Cash. Again, I think they'll be like 14th, maybe 15th, but still in the top half of the league. I just think last year they were 25th in half-court offense, which has kind of been the boogeyman for this team for years now, right? They are always good in transition, or at the very least, they get in transition all the time and ratchet up points on the run, but they just don't quite have the juice in the half-court to sustain like a functional 48-minute offense. 25th last year. I think a full season from Emmanuel Quickley with the shooting he brings to the table and the arrival of Brandon Ingram is going to be enough to juice them up to like 18th. And if you can be the 18th best half-court offense with the transition frequency that this team has, and hopefully a bit of a return to transition efficiency this year after they were pretty inefficient by league standards in transition last year, I think that'll be a recipe for a middle-of-the-road offense that is not totally stuck in the mud like it has been the last few years. So, yeah, top half in both offense and defense. What say you to this one?
Again, I like it. I think it's a good balancing act between like crazy bold, but also somewhat understated and very believable. Because on the defensive end, look, I mean they were number 2, number 3, over the second half of the season on the defensive end. Now,
I like there, Joe. By the way, like there's so much like weird like end of season noise baked into that number. They were 7th for like 8 weeks in January and February.
Yeah, no,
like, the time that matters.
No, it's look, you can say what you want about how soft their second half schedule was, and you can quibble with whether their competence in the second half altered the lottery. Not that they would have got flagged, because obviously the 10th worst team ended up whatever it was. But whatever, they could have got a better pick in general. You can quibble with all that, but you can't quibble with the fact that this wasn't just a 16-game thing or like a soft March or whatever. They went 22-21 over the final 43 games of the season with a top 3 defense over that time. That's not just a soft schedule. That's half the season. Now, I do understand that you have to bake in some regression just from the fact that, look, can Emmanuel Quickley be aggressive at the point of attack? Yes. But is he an impact defender? No. He, if things go right this year, should be playing a lot more. RJ Barrett, I thought, was better defensively in the second half than he was in the first half. But by and large, I don't think he's a good defender. If, right there, that's your starting backcourt. That's a problem defensively. Brandon Ingram, I think, is a better defender with more defensive upside than people give him credit for. But again, not an impact defender. So I'm with you on Scottie and Yak kind of anchoring things. I think Colin Murray-Boyles and the bench will defend well. But I do think you have to bake in some regression from that top 3 defense we saw in the second half to adding some of those guys who will play more. And that's why I like your prediction where just be in the top half. Be like 10 to 12 defensively. Be average-ish to slightly above average offensively. And I think there's a path to that. I think the offense will be a work in progress. But I think if they play Darko ball correctly and simply use Brandon Ingram to fill what was their biggest hole when it came to half-court scoring and shot creation, there is a path to just respectability on the offensive end. And guess what? You combine those two things, respectability on the offensive end with a solid defense that has some upside to, if things break right, knock on the door of being elite, you have a good team, especially in a bad conference. And I don't know how much more you want to go into that, because this does actually dovetail. If you want to pick up
the thread with yours, please do. Yeah.
This might not come off that bold, because I guess it's kind of what people are setting as an expectation for this team, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. Top 6 in the East. No play-in. Straight to the playoff.
He said it. He said the thing.
I'm jittering in my chair as I say it, because there's, my heart and my head might not be aligned on this one. But we're supposed to go bold, right? So yeah. I'm saying it. Raps, top 6 in the East, straight through to the playoffs. Look, if you ask me, be a betting man and have to put your money behind it and stack the East as you see it in the way the rosters stack up, would I have them top 6? Probably not, to be honest with you. I might have them around 7th.
Sure. Right on the line. Yeah.
But we're being bold. And I think if the things play out the way we were saying, where it's They fixed the offense enough to just be competent, and the defense, even if it slides, is still very good. With the way Ingram plugs the hole, I think they're a playoff team in the East. And I think I've said this a couple times already this preseason. I've written about it. Cleveland and New York are the clear class of the East. I don't think that's news to anybody. I think teams like Orlando, Atlanta, maybe Detroit should slot in the next year. But the Raptors are not that far off from those like solid but unspectacular teams. Mm-hmm. And so for my money, the Knicks and the Cavs are the only two teams in the East the Raptors truly can't touch.
Yep.
After that, you could convince me they friggin' finished third just as easily as you could convince me they somehow missed the postseason altogether and finished like 11th. Like, I really do think the range of possibilities for this team is that wide in this conference. And that's going to make it fun. It's going to make it interesting and intriguing, and it might make it scary at points. But I really do think that's the range for this team. Like, everything goes right. They're a 3 seed who could have a second round playoff appearance. Things go wrong. They're an 11, 12 seed in a bad conference, and we're having the conversation I know you especially will hate in like January, February about like, should they punt on the season? So I think there's a wide range of possibilities, but I'm feeling bold, and I'm going to go with them in the upper half of that possibility. Top 6 seed in a weak East, straight through to the playoffs. No need for the dreadful play-in.
The bold prediction here, Cash, was 3 seed. Bank it. Come on, man. Be bold. Be bolder than you were. No, I think top 6 is bold, right? Like, I don't think that's going to be a consensus pick by any means. I think, they're like, again, not a lot of spectacular teams in the conference, but there are a lot of teams that maybe have a little bit more pedigree, have a little bit more in terms of like high-end star talent that you might say, okay, like, yeah, they're a shoo-in to be higher than the Raptors. I think the only teams I would say I'd feel pretty confident about being ahead of the Raptors are the Magic and I guess the Hawks, even though like this whole like the Hawks are going to be incredible thing. It's kind of a believe it when I see it thing because it's the Atlanta Hawks and the Trae Young Atlanta Hawks to be exact. But like they're pretty deep. They're good. Like if they're healthy, if Jalen Johnson can stay on the floor,
that's
great. If he can't, then there's some problems there. Same with Kristaps, right? Like
the Hawks are the I know it's not a Hawks podcast, but the Hawks to me are the ultimate. And I made like a video about it where it's like they're again. Could be a 3 seed, could be in the conference finals. Mm-hmm. Jalen Johnson could get hurt. Things could go a little haywire. And instead, they're like a 9 seed who's scouring the trade market for Trae Young because he could leave for nothing in 8-10 months, whatever it is. So the Hawks, again, one of those teams, like I think a lot of the teams in the East are a very wide range of possibilities.
Yeah, I was toying with one of my predictions being the Raptors just straight up finish ahead of the Detroit Pistons. That didn't feel quite bold enough. I'm pretty... Like, I think the Pistons will be fine long term. I think they are due for like a classic. We were really fun and surprising and caught the whole league off guard. And then, oh, God, things got real fast the next year type of season.
Yeah.
Your 2022-23 Raptors, if you will. I still don't think enough's being made of Malik Beasley's Klay Thompson level season no longer being on that team. Dude, that's in the rear view now.
There's a lot of 3-pointers to replace in that line.
Right.
And that Duncan Robinson is not going to play enough.
Doing it. Yeah. Duncan Robinson is like fine. I'm just like, I'm not sold. I think Dennis Schroeder was really helpful for them. They have the Jaden Ivey injury again. Now he's going to miss 4 weeks. Like, I don't know, man. I just think their spacing is weird. They're clunky. All their best players can't really shoot outside of Cade. It's going to be a bit of a struggle, I think, for the Pistons compared to last year. And so I think the Raptors, 6th makes sense to me. I'd say I'll do like a full predictions thing probably next week, maybe just in short form on YouTube or something. But I think my hunch right now is probably Bucks 5th, Raptors 6th, and then like Pistons, Heat, Pacers, Bulls maybe. I think the Celtics are, by the way, not making the play-in. I think they're going to punt the year at some point, but that's just me. But yeah, that's those are our team-specific ones. You got Raptors top 6. I've got them top half, both offense and defense. It's optimism season, baby. We're going to come back to the other side, and my final bold prediction kind of ties into the optimism and a bit of an overachievement that could be had for the team. We'll get into our final bold predictions coming up in just one sec. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season's here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It's a great thing to go check out, right? If you think you have like a sure thing winner in the NFL this weekend, you want to put $5 down on a team to win, you can go and do that. And if they win, you'll get $300 to go and play around with on the app. And what a great time for futures bets. You got the NBA season drawing near. You can pick your finals winners. You can pick your MVP winner, your awards champions, all that stuff. You can also go and bet on baseball. The Blue Jays, 2-2, baby. They're off and running. Take the over on Jays home runs, apparently, because they just can't stop hitting them. That's there for you to go play with those bonus bets as well. It's all there for you at FanDuel. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started to get $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Back at it here with Joseph Casciaro of The Score, finishing off our annual Bold Predictions episode. Just a quick reminder, those of you who are in Hamilton or can make it to Hamilton via transit, it's very easy, by the way. Next Wednesday, the 22nd, I'll be hosting a watch party at Last Supper Books, 148 James Street North in Hamilton. Going to be a ton of fun. We're going to watch Raptors Hawks. We're going to do a basketball book exchange. So bring a book you've read. We'll exchange it for one you haven't. And we'll also do some Q&A, stuff like that. Hang out, eat snacks, drink drinks, watch basketball. It'll be a great time. The link to RSVP is in the description of the podcast. Please do that. Space is limited. Okay, Cash, final bold predictions. We've gone on an optimistic note here. I think, why not? It's the start of the season. It's bold predictions. It's why get down in the dumps about stuff, huh? I think for me, my final one might come off as incredibly bold. And I recognize this one has, considering the shifting ownership tides with the team, has a very real chance of looking extremely stupid if the team comes out of the gates not looking particularly sharp. But I think Darko Rajakovic is going to be a Coach of the Year finalist this season. One of the top 3 in Coach of the Year come season's end. I don't think he'll win it because I don't think they'll win quite enough games for that. That's probably reserved for your Jamal Mosleys or something like that if the Magic go and win 54 games and really, kind of stake a claim as a contender in the Eastern Conference. But I feel like the script is just there. It's very easy to track how this might happen with Darko. Team that is kind of widely undervalued, slept on, whatever, not expected to be especially good. There's been a lot of consternation about how the team has been built and how it doesn't fit. Team comes together, is greater than the sum of its parts, wins 45 or 46 games in the Eastern Conference, is a top 6 seed, has some, encouraging, fun storylines, is an entertaining watch, and all of a sudden, the people who vote for this type of thing are like, wow, we got to give that guy a vote because, wow, what an incredible season. The vibes are off the charts. It's really his first year of getting to actually try to win basketball games, given permission by the front office to do so, which is kind of cool. You're very curious to see what happens there. And yeah, if the Raptors come out of the gate slow with the shifting ownership stuff going on with the team, there's a world in which Darko's let go before Christmas. If things are really, really dire, I don't see that one happening. I think this team's going to be pretty good in a pretty bad conference. And as a result, I think Darko Rajakovic will be a finalist for Coach of the Year. Cash, am I out of my mind with this one?
No, I really don't think you are. I mean, I actually think out of the 5 we've collectively come up with so far, this one might be the most real. Well, actually, no. You're them being top half.
No, you're about to get bold prediction. You're about to make a bold prediction about the bold prediction. Stick with it, dude.
Yeah, no, I think it's maybe the most realistic one. I think, again, when you talk about these things, people are gonna think, oh, that's crazy, whatever. But it's really not, because just look at the history of how this award is voted on. It's not often the best team's head coach. It's a lot of times not even a contender's head coach. It's usually the most surprising team's head coach, or at least the most overachieving team's head coach. And if they don't win it, they're certainly in the conversation. And so, yeah, if the Raptors win somewhere in the mid-40s in games and are a playoffs proper team, or something, even higher than that in this East, absolutely Darko Rajakovic is going to be in the Coach of the Year conversation.
Yeah, man. I mean, this kind of, again, follows the sort of the track that you see with the Detroit Pistons of last year. JB Bickerstaff was a finalist. Am I wrong about that for Coach of the Year last year?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he was one of the top. Yeah, he finished second, right?
It was that great story where JB Bickerstaff was a finalist, and Kenny Atkinson in Cleveland. It was just such a great story because obviously Atkinson replaced Bickerstaff, and led the Cavs to that great year. But Bickerstaff, in his own right, also had a great year in another market, and they were both in the running for Coach of the Year.
Yeah. So that exact kind of story, right? Team kind of has a surprise year, wins a lot of games, has this sort of try hard ethos that you can kind of ascribe to a coach in some way. Yeah, I think it's very much on the table that Darko ends up in the final 3 for Coach of the Year come season's end. All right, Cash, what's your final bold prediction? Lay it on me.
So I like that we've kind of aligned here because you went Scottie, I went Ingram, kind of like 2 top guys. We talked about them.
Sure.
Then we both had team predictions. And then for our third, we've both aligned in terms of having award-related predictions. My final bold prediction to close our show of bold predictions is that one of Jamal Shead or Grady Dick will be squarely in the 6th Man of the Year race.
Okay, Grady Dick, I'm with you. Jamal Shead.
Man,
wow.
There is
light me on this one. That is as spicy as things have gotten so far today, and I love it.
Okay. Shead, to me, is a guy that is just going to be a very solid pro for a long time, and he's never going to be a star, and honestly, he'll probably never be a starter. But I do think that his game translates really well to being a solid reserve guard in the NBA for a long time on both sides of the ball, even if his shooting never comes around. And I just think if you kind of read the tea leaves at training camp, the way the team was talking about him, the way Darko was talking about him, I know a lot of what they were talking about was more just his ability to be a leader, organize things as a point guard, be the head of the snake defensively, and also his off-court leadership. And I know that stuff doesn't translate to 6th Man of the Year voting and numbers and production, but if this bench is as surprising as I think they can be, and if the season plays out the way I think it will, where by the end of it, Jamal Shead actually establishes himself as Darko's most trusted reserve and the leader of a pretty good bench unit and a guy who's closing some games for an East playoff team, I just think there's something about his story, the very the classic young floor general, leader of a reserve unit, very young Fred VanVleet I just think there's going to be some narrative buildup there where this guy is in the 6th Man of the Year conversation. And then the way I hedged my bets was well, if not him, because that actually does seem a little unbelievable. Grady Dick, who I won't say I've lost faith in, but I've soured on over the years more than I've sweetened on him because for as great as that stretch was early last season, for the most part, I think there's been, some disappointing elements of his game. The defense hasn't come along the way I thought it would at his size. He hasn't been able to sustain stretches of offensive brilliance for longer than a couple weeks at most. And so I can understand why even the Grady Dick thing seems a little unbelievable, but I do think that Grady Dick at his best with the combination of shot making and size can actually be overqualified in the role he's now going to find himself in on this team. And again, if he just plays up to his potential, I'm not even asking him to be a budding star, just play up to your potential, be as good as I think you should be in a role you're overqualified for on a team we're saying is going to be a solid East playoff team. Again, I think there's a path there to get in the 6th Man of the Year conversation. Bold either way. I don't think it's very believable for a lot of people. Probably a little more believable for Grady.
Yeah, I think Grady is going to be put in a really great, optimized position to succeed this year. When he's in, he's not going to be the guy who has to necessarily run the show at the second unit. He's going to be playing with other starters, and that's going to elevate his game. He's a guy who amplifies good players and will be amplified by good players in return. And I think there's a real chance that he just really pops in those sort of transitional lineups with Scottie, with Brandon. It makes a lot of sense, his role as this offensive additive you can drop into any lineup and just give a little more dynamism, a little more movement, a little more gravity, a little more shooting juice. The defense we'll see, but people don't care about defense with the 6th Man of the Year award anyway. So I think it's a great one for him to be in the mix. And I need specifics though, man. What do you mean by in the conversation? Is this others receiving votes? Is this one of them finishing top 5 in voting? You gotta really crystallize this prediction.
Top 5.
Perfect.
Top 5.
Love it. Bold, great, outstanding, a great place to leave this episode off. Cash, always a pleasure, my friend. We'll take this back up in 6 months' time and talk about how correct we were about everything and bask in that glory. It'll be a great time. It's definitely the way it's gone the last 2 years. Do you have anything you want to promote for the good people out there before we let you go?
Just the usual for making sure people are following my work covering the NBA at large all season long on the Score app, which I hope people should have downloaded if they're Raptors fans, of course, and in the GTA or in Canada. And then also to follow my work on the Score's YouTube page, literally just the Score on YouTube, where you can find my weekly unfiltered series, kind of NBA take of the week, and also From the Logo, which is the Score's weekly NBA studio show. We just started the new season yesterday. Scott Campsall and Kirthika Uthayakumar were on, and Sean will be joining me probably early December. Fingers crossed if it lines up. So check out all that work.
Yeah, everyone go check out Cash. He's doing great stuff covering the league, and the Score does a lot of fun stuff. So please go and do all that stuff. You can find this show, on your favorite podcast apps. Subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend. We're on YouTube, of course. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, do it, please. Even if you don't watch, just do it to help juice the stats. It's very nice when you do it. Strokes my ego, etc., etc. Join the Discord. Link in the description of the podcast. 100% free to join. As always, it's a great community we got building around the show. We've also got some fun stuff in the hopper, some extra, perks and stuff we'll be able to offer to listeners in a few weeks, months time. And we'll just keep an ear to the ground. We got some fun stuff planned for this season. We'll be back again next week to kick things off in earnest. We'll have our over-under special with Vivek and Sahal on Tuesday, my favorite show of the year, this one with Joey Cash notwithstanding. We'll have, of course, the season beginning and our first game recaps and all that stuff next week. Cannot wait. We'll talk to you very soon. Thanks so much for hanging. Bye-bye.